What's going on, everybody? You see a Jaguar back with GenJag.com, and as we all know, free agency is approaching. And I wanted to originally do a video about what free agents I feel like the Jaguars should go snag. But before I do that, I want to kind of go through and let you guys know the positions that I feel like we need to address either through free agency or the draft. And I have a list of 9 different positions that I'm going to basically go through and let you guys know, kind of what I need to address. And I'm going to go ahead and do them in order. So if you guys want to get a little spoiler alert down in the description, I will put the order of where I feel like the needs are. But for now, I'm going to go ahead and discuss. Let's get it. So the number 1 position I feel like the Jaguars need to address is the nickel cornerback spot. Now, as we all know, Aaron Colvin played at a very high level last year. However, he is going to be a free agent. So we are going to have to address this position by, either re-signing him or just getting a player like that to fill his void. Now, I really don't think that we are going to be able to replace his production, but we're going to have to get a pretty formidable player to go in there just because, we have Jalen Ramsey out there, we have AJ Boye out there, and when guys are covering him, they're going to be naturally going and picking on the worst cornerback, and that's going to be whoever's going to be in that position. So the nickel cornerback is essentially a starting position. They play over 65% of snaps, and Aaron Colvin did not allow a single touchdown this season. So if we have a bad player in there, they're going to be exposed, and we need to be able to keep our defense tight so we can go ahead and continue to win games, because the defense, we could pretty much look at them and say that they won us at least a quarter of our games. So definitely need to address that nickel cornerback spot. And the number 2 position of need is our offensive guard position. Last season, we all thought this was a position of need, and we really didn't address it. We went out there with Patrick Omameh as our primary starting left guard. However, Patrick Omameh is set to hit free agency. So right now, if the season were to start today, we would probably have Brandon Linder out at left guard and have Tyler Shadley at that center position. But I don't think they want to do that. I think they are going to look to either invest high money in free agency or a draft pick in the top 3 rounds to be able to fill that left guard position. And the number 3 position of need is the strong side linebacker spot. Last year, Paul Posluszny played in that role and did a really good job. However, he is going into free agency, and I think the Jaguars may be looking to move on from Posluszny and maybe go with a faster kind of option, as Paul Posluszny is obviously getting into his older years. So this is definitely a position that, it's technically a starter position. They get about 35% of the snaps in the game. So we are going to need to get somebody in there to basically start for our defense at that spot. Now, the number 4 position of need is the tight end position. Obviously, last season we got Mike Rivera in the later waves of free agency. However, we never saw him on the field, and it kind of left a big kind of hole at tight end for us. Obviously, you had Mercedes Lewis kind of picking up some of that slack, but he's more of a run blocking kind of player. We also have James O'Shaughnessy and Ben Koyak, 2 guys that we can very well upgrade from. So we are definitely going to need to go out and either spend a good amount of money on a tight end spot or invest a big draft pick in one. And when I want a tight end, obviously we are a team that wants to be able to run the ball well, so I want to bring in a tight end that's dual threat, one that can both catch passes and run blocks. So definitely something that I want to have in my tight end. And then the number 5 position of need is the wide receiver position. Now, as we all know, Allen Robinson is most likely going to be hitting free agency. He's most likely gone, to be honest with you. I think he's probably going to be getting like a 5-year, $60 million deal with some team like that. And, the Jaguars, they don't see that either he has that value or maybe even that position is worth that much value. I mean, obviously, Dave Caldwell is able to find some diamonds in the rough with later round picks, kind of like finding D.D. Westbrook in the 4th round. He was able to get Allen Hurns and Keelan Cole both undrafted. So, I think that they think that maybe they can find somebody to basically replace Allen Robinson, and you know, that's going to be a position that we are probably going to have to invest a high draft pick in. I mean, the two top guys in free agency at wide receiver are going to be Sammy Watkins and Allen Robinson, but I think both those guys kind of price themselves out of the Jaguars, so we're probably going to have to get kind of a cheaper option at the wide receiver position to come in there, and then maybe draft a guy in you know, the draft in the top like 2-3 rounds. You know, right now our 3 starting receivers if the season were to start today is Allen Hurns, Keelan Cole, D.D. Westbrook, all decent players, none necessarily go-to guys, but you also look at the depth. Next up you have Jadon Mickens and then Rashad Green, so obviously we don't want to go out to battle with those guys day one. And then the number 6 position, you guys might find this kind of interesting, but I have the running back position. Now, obviously, we cut Chris Ivory, so right now our running back depth chart is Leonard Fournette, TJ Yeldon, and Corey Grant. Now, Leonard Fournette, obviously he's great, but you also look at the backup guys. I mean, TJ Yeldon, I would say he's very, very solid. Now, you know, if he goes in there, he's going to not fumble the ball. You know, he's going to catch every pass that comes his way. You know, he's going to be very good in pass protection. However, you know, if you bring him out there, he's not going to be able to outrun a bunch of guys, you know, with breakaway speed. He's obviously not going to really put any moves on anybody to really juke them out. He's just a solid player and a dependable player. So, you know, nothing kind of wrong with that, but I still think we can upgrade from that position. Corey Grant is an interesting case. I think all the fans really like him, but it's clear that the coaches, there's something about him that they don't like. I don't know if that he's too small or what it is, but you know, the coaches, if they don't have trust in the guy, then I don't know why he's even on the, you know, team. He is a restricted free agent, so you know, we have the rights to bring him back, but another team can't put an offer sheet on him, and if the Jaguars don't want to match whatever contract that team puts on him, then, you know, he basically walks. So that'll be something interesting to look ahead to. I don't know if any team will really do that, but you never know. There could be a kind of guy like Bill Belichick, a genius out there that could say, hey, I could use this guy to do this, you know, so we'll see what happens with that. Running backs, you can find them in the later rounds of the NFL draft. I mean, there's all kinds of good players that you have been able to find late. But, you know, we've invested a lot in the running back position. You know, obviously, Chris Ivory, he had a fat contract. TJ Yeldon in the 2nd round, Leonard Fournette in the 1st round. So, you know, we're kind of using a lot of capital on that position when, you know, you really shouldn't be. The number 7 position of need is going to be the backup quarterback spot. Right now, the only quarterback on the roster is Blake Bortles, as Chad Henne will hit free agency. Chad Henne has actually been on the Jaguars since 2012. Very long tenure Jaguar. He's been, you know, since 2014 when Blake took over the position. All he's been doing is sitting on the bench, holding a clipboard, and growing a mean mustache. So he will most likely go on. I mean, if the Jaguars wanted to retain him, then he would have most likely already signed a new contract, just because I don't think any teams are going to be out there really bidding for his rights. You know, I think if his agent were able to strike up a deal, they will just sign it so he can continue holding that clipboard. Now, the number 8 position of need is going to be linebacker depth. Luckily for the Jaguars this year, we really didn't have to experience many things when it comes to losing players, especially, you know, like at the linebacker spot. You know, you had Telvin Smith lost for a couple games, but also Miles Jack never really got injured. So, you know, guys backing them up are guys like Blair Brown, like Donald Payne. So, you know, luckily, hopefully we don't get injured, but if we do, we're going to need to get better guys to fill those spots. And then my number 9 position of the need, I just have as big guys. And when I say big guys, I mean guys in the trenches. You know, offensive line, 5 out of your 11 players are offensive linemen, and then oftentimes offensive linemen are getting hurt, so you're going to need guys to plug in there. And also on the defensive line, you know, you have guys rotating all around the defensive line. You don't do that in any other spot on the defense. So I really think every year you're going to want to get at least one offensive lineman, at least one defensive lineman in those top 5 round picks in the draft. So you know, I really think that if you look at 2019, that you see, you know, in the interior of the offensive line, we have Marcel Darius, Malik Jackson, Avery Jones. big money guys. So I think after the 2018 season concludes and a year from now, at least one of those guys will be gone. So you know, we're going to need to be able to bring guys in to replace the expensive guys to be able to shuffle around. So yeah, I mean, obviously offensive line and defensive line depth, you can never have enough of it. So yeah, those are my thoughts on the top needs for the Jaguars. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments section. Throw a like on the video if you enjoyed it, and I will see you guys probably tomorrow with actually free agent targets to try to go get. So go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and ring that bell so you get notified right when a video comes out. But this is UC at Jaguar with JenJag.com, and I'm out.